Today's presentation is on ladder safety. And Mike and I were chatting about this ahead of putting out these presentations, the announcements, and thought, all right, what's the best subject we can talk about? And we looked back and said, it's been a while since we've done ladder safety. And we thought this would be an important subject to talk about. And as I dove into it a little bit more in preparing the presentation, I looked at our claims, our injuries and accidents that have happened over the last several years, and it was really scary, truthfully. Just looking at the impact on people's lives involving a simple tool like a ladder, and to the tune of millions of dollars of cost. And I know that's kind of the callous side of things when we talk dollars, but it gives you an idea of the impact. If we're talking millions of dollars in cost, what does that mean in pain and suffering? Well, that's significant. And the other thing about ladder safety that I think is so important that we talk about it today is this is universal. I don't care who you are, you probably use a ladder from time to time. If you're out in the public works type of world, that may be a day in, day out thing. You're pulling a ladder off of a headache rack on your truck, and you're doing a job with it. But there are many people who work in an office environment who may have a step ladder to access things from top shelves, or they may not have one, and they may be tempted to do something unsafe, like climb up on a chair, climb up on a desk, to reach something at an upper shelf. And as I look through those accidents, claims that have been reported over the years, there were way too many of those where people had taken a chair or something that was in the office and used it to access a higher level and fell down and hurt themselves, some of them very significantly. And so this is a universal subject that I think everybody should pay attention to. Not only is it universal at work, it's also universal at home. We use these ladders all the time in our homes, in our garages, taking the Christmas lights down, whatever it may be, we're using these tools and we're at risk of serious injury. And we say, why ladders? Well, we need to reach things. We're not tall enough. We need to reach things that are at height. There may not be an elevator. There may not be a stairway that gets us where we're going. We may have to get onto our roof to do some job up there. We may need to get up there to clean the gutters out. We're using ladders all the time, and we don't really think about the real risk that goes along with these things. Ladders are critical tools, but they can kill us. Thinking back on this subject, I had my first scoutmaster, great guy. Learned a lot of things from this guy. He was a farmer, and he climbed up on a grain bin using a ladder. And as he was climbing up the ladder, something went wrong, and he fell down and landed on his head, and he's not with us anymore. And it's just a tragedy for the family, but it was a simple thing. All he had to do was go up onto the top of that bin and take the top off to put some grain in there. And it wasn't that high. As a matter of fact, the majority of fatal accidents involving ladders happen at under 10 feet in height. So just because it's a short ladder, it's only a 3-step ladder in the office, that's enough height to cause us some real significant injury. So let's take it seriously, and hopefully we'll learn a few things in the training today. So let's figure out how to safely use these ladders. Just to recap those statistics, almost half of all falls that it resulted in the death of the person falling involved a ladder. I think that's pretty significant. You think about these people working up on, skyscrapers, building these things. You think about falls from great heights. Almost half of those falls are involving a ladder. Every year there's about 300 deaths and about 164,000 ER visits from ladders. And like I said, most ladder deaths happen at a height of less than 10 feet. With the trust, we have about 15 ladder injuries every year, and some of those are really significant. And so there's a lot of pain, a lot of cost involved with that. This is serious, and we need to take it as such. All right, so the top 5 ladder injuries. How does it happen? How do I get hurt using a ladder? Number 1, slip and fall from the ladder. So one of those important ladder safety rules is make sure your feet don't have slippery stuff on them. I don't have oil or mud, or I'm not, my feet aren't wet, those types of things that can cause me to slip. Make sure the steps on the ladder are the same way, that we haven't spilled oil onto the rungs of the ladder. We don't have things, there's sometimes even dirt and grime and dust and those things can become slippery. So make sure a ladder's clean before we use it, and make sure our footwear is in good shape. Sometimes it's falling while descending from a ladder, and that could be, I missed a step, I missed a rung. Sometimes people decide to go down the ladder the wrong way, facing away from the ladder. Oh, it's just a few steps, I'll go down there, and they drop a leg through the opening, or they fall forward off to that ladder because they don't have a good handhold. They don't keep their three points of contact, and they don't face the ladder. Sprains and strains. Ladders are big, awkward things sometimes. And even if they're not big, they can definitely be awkward and cause back injuries and other types of strains from moving that thing around. Sometimes the ladder slipped. Maybe we didn't have a good base that we were on. Maybe it was slippery. We were taking the Christmas lights out and there's ice on the driveway, and I set that ladder on there and it slides out from under me. So a good base for that ladder is essential. Sometimes people were smashed or hit by ladders, falling ladders, using ladders in winds with significant wind that could cause it to tip over. All right, so those are the top 5, but boy, there's a lot more than even those top 5. But let's figure out how we can prevent those accidents. So ladder safety, really, I kind of boiled it down to 3 important things: using the right ladder, choosing the right ladder, inspecting the ladder for safety, and that extends to the environment that we use the ladder in, and then using the ladder correctly. Many of these accidents happen because people are using a ladder improperly. They're not using it for its intended purpose. Okay. All right. So how do we choose the correct ladder for the job? Well, we need to understand the differences in ladders. What's different from one ladder to another? And you'll see that as I talk about those things, the various different configurations. But some of the things that are essential for us to know: how high am I going? Because without knowing how high I need to go, I can't select the right ladder. I've got to get one that will reach to the height that I'm looking at. What type of work will I be doing when I'm there? Am I painting? Am I using a hammer? Am I using a nail gun? Am I just using it to access a roof? Do I need to be able to move laterally, side to side? Well, I'm going to choose a different ladder for that task than I would one that I'm simply accessing a roof. What kind of tools do I need to complete the task that I'm looking for? Can I use a tool belt? We always need to, if we're carrying stuff up and down the ladder, we either carry it in a tool belt or we hoist it up separately, and we keep our hands free so we can maintain those 3 points of contact at all times. Only move one hand or one foot at a time. The other 3 should be firmly engaged with the ladder. Okay. And then what are the environmental conditions? It's going to be very different in the wintertime than it is in the summer using a ladder, just because of the environmental conditions. And so I may use a different ladder in the wintertime than I would in the summer based on that. Okay. And one of the most important things, I think, is that sometimes the right ladder isn't a ladder. Sometimes we need to use a different tool to do the job. Sometimes I need to rent a lift. Sometimes I need to specify that, hey, we're building a new building and you build it with these great grandiose high ceilings in here, and you forgot that somebody needs to change the light bulbs. So how can we do that safely? Now, it might be a tool that we're using where I can access those light bulbs from the ground level. That's definitely the safest, is not putting me at height. But the other thing may be we need to have a lift in the gymnasium so I can get up to the height of changing those bulbs out or fixing the ceiling tiles or whatever that task may be, and not be placed in a situation where I have to make a decision of, well, if I put this A-frame ladder in the back of a pickup truck, then I can reach what I'm trying to get. Well, that's an unsafe act. Let's plan ahead and do the right thing. And sometimes it may not be us using the tool. Sometimes it may be this, even though it's changing light bulbs, we're going to hire a contractor to do it because we can't safely do it given the tools and the personnel that we have here. So just always keep that in mind, that the right tool may not be that ladder. It may be something totally different, and it may be hiring a contractor to do certain jobs because we're not prepared for it. Okay, so as I'm selecting my ladder, I have to look at a rating for the ladder. What is the duty? It's called a duty rating. How heavy of work can this type of ladder work? And you can see there's a whole list, type 1 through 3, and then type 1A and 1 AA. And these are the industrial or rugged service type ladders. My recommendation is always use industrial ladders. They will sell a household type ladder, and granted, they are a lot cheaper, but this is a workplace situation. And even at your home, I recommend buying the industrial ladder. You're going to spend a little bit more money, but remember, once again, this is your life on the line. What do these numbers mean? Well, this is the rated capacity that these ladders have for carrying weight. And you say, well, I don't weigh 300 pounds. I should be fine. Well, this is the weight of the user along with any tools that they may be carrying. So if you've got a big tool belt and you've got drills and hammers and whatever else that you put into that tool belt, that could actually cause you to exceed your weight limit. So look at this. Buy industrial ladders. Make sure that we've got plenty of leeway there. Now, these ladders are rated to handle multiple times, most of these categories, four times the rated capacity. However, we don't want to go beyond what that is listed on there. For me, as well as whatever I'm carrying. Remember, keep your hands free so you can keep a hold of those rails and get yourself up there safely. Okay, so different types of ladders. Another type of question that we have to ask, is this going to be a fixed or a portable ladder? So inside of our facilities, some places, we build in a fixed ladder that's going to be there forever, and it has specific requirements. Our goal today is not really to dive into how far apart your rungs should be and spacing and clearances and all of those things. And if you want to talk about those, definitely give us a call and we can run you through all of those requirements. But our goal today is really looking at portable ladders and what risk that they have to us. But there are a couple of things that we need to think about fixed ladders. And the important part about that is how high is it? At 20 feet, I've got some requirements there, a safety cage. At 24 feet, I have to have a personal fall arrest system or a ladder safety system. We'll talk about those in a minute. Let's dive back into portable ladders. So here are the different ladder configurations that we talked about. Step ladders, or the normal A-frame ladder that we talk about. Single ladders. This is like an extension ladder that you think about, but it's only one section of it. Then the extension ladder that will have multiple sections. Articulated ladders. These are those ones that kind of fold up and you can put them into different configurations. Extension trestle ladders. This looks more like a scaffold type device where you can go back and forth laterally on that. And then mobile ladder stands. We'll talk about each one of these. We want to use the right ladder for the job. So if you look here, this guy's using an A-frame ladder. It's got a spotter, Is the spotter going to do him much good? No, he's using this ladder inappropriately. If I'm accessing a roof, I should be using an extension ladder, and it should extend at least 3 feet above that roof line. So it will keep me, give me something to hold on to so I don't fall off. All right, A-frame ladder. So when I use a step ladder, it needs to be on a flat level surface. That's the rule. It needs to be a flat level surface, and it needs to be a solid surface. So if I'm out and I put it on grass, that probably isn't a solid enough surface for an A-frame type ladder. Don't try to extend your reach with these ladders by putting it up on tables or buckets or in the bed of a pickup or who knows what. That will put you at risk of real serious injury. These ladders always need to be used in the fully extended and locked position. I can't lean an A-frame ladder up against something. I'll show you this picture and then I'll go back to that. I can't use this type of a ladder leaning up against something to access that higher level. It needs to be fully extended as an A-frame. Don't use this as a straight ladder. And those top 2 steps are not steps on an A-frame ladder. So the top one, we just call it a top cap, but that second one down is called a step, but you're not supposed to step there. It changes the configuration, your center of gravity, and it makes it really easy to fall. Now this is a tempting one. I'm climbing up into the false ceiling there, and I'm doing some work there, and I can't quite reach what I'm getting to. That's probably the most common unsafe act that I see with ladders are people climbing up on those top 2 steps, and it's a real easy way to get yourself hurt. So jumping ahead, I'm going to show you a platform ladder. I recommend you buy those instead of a regular A-frame type ladder because we eliminate the top 2 steps. There's no top 2 steps. When I get to the top step, I'm done. I can't go any higher than that, and it provides me a much safer workspace. Next one, we're going to talk about straight ladders. Now, these are just like, they're like in one section of an extension ladder. You should never stack these up. Do not try to tie 2 ladders together to reach a higher area. They are not a scaffold. They're not intended to be used horizontally. They're intended to be used vertically. The maximum length for a straight ladder is 30 feet. And one of those essential safety rules, it's not just for straight ladders, but any ladder, keep your belt buckle inside of the rails. What do I mean by that? If I extend myself out to the side, over to the side, and my belt buckle gets outside of that side rail, I am at high risk of falling or having the ladder tip to the side. I've got to keep my weight centered in the middle of those rails. So always keep that in mind. Don't extend, keep your belt buckle in the middle, and then you're going to be in pretty good shape. Tie a ladder off. So in some situations, I've got a bunch of roofers going up onto accessing a roof, and they're going up and down. So I got lots of traffic. There may be a breeze. Now, I shouldn't be using a ladder in high winds, but maybe there's a breeze, there's traffic, people moving around there. Tie those ladders off to keep them from tipping over and hurting somebody climbing or hurting somebody on the ground as they tip. Always, only one person on the ladder at a time. Why is that? Well, number one, we almost instantly exceed our weight limit, our rated capacity there. The other side of that is our we may shift our weight because of more people on there than should be there. So one person at a time, and don't extend outside. Oh, so what was the problem there? Well, he had a load. He was trying to hang that light, and he reached out beyond the reach of that ladder. Okay, so extension ladders. There are 2 sections at least. Sometimes they can be 3, most of the time not. 2 sections to an extension ladder. We need to follow the label for the maximum length. So it will tell you how far you can extend it. And it may have a mark on there that says this is the highest point where these dogs can engage the rung for the maximum height. The maximum length of any extension ladder is 60 feet, but you ain't going to catch me on a 60-foot extension ladder. Sorry, not going to do it. Don't ever move an extension ladder from above. Why? Well, if I reach down and I just pick that up to slide it over a little bit, I just need it a little bit out of the way to do the job, I will probably disengage the dogs that hold that extension in place. It may not go down immediately. It may wait for me to step on it, and then I'll have the ladder collapse in on itself and fall down. Always move an extension ladder or any ladder from the ground. Especially don't try to move the ladder when you're on it. Okay. With an extension or a single ladder, we follow what we call the 1-to-4 rule. What do I mean by that? Well, let me show you the example of what not to do here. Wow. So 1-to-4 talks about the distance from the wall or from the side of the building compared to the height of the ladder. And so for every 4 feet of height of the ladder, I need to be 1 foot away from the wall. What's the problem if I go more than that? Well, if my ladder angle is too steep, I won't have enough force on those feet, and it can slide out from under me. If it's too steep, then I can tip backwards off of that. So 1 foot for every 4 feet of height. So if my building is 16 feet high, where it touches the eaves, I'm going to divide that by 4. It'll give me 4 feet out from the side of the building, and in particular from the point at which it contacts the eaves. So there may be an overhang there. I want to go out to where it contacts the eaves. There's a cool application that you can download for your phone that if you just go in and search for ladder safety, it's a free application, and it will allow you to tip your ladder or tip your phone and put it against the ladder, and it'll tell you if you have the right angle. Pretty cool thing if you're into technology. Other than that, most people that are using ladders probably have access to a tape measure to really get the feel of how far out it's going to be. All right, let's talk about another kind of ladder. Those are articulated ladders. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because they have various different configurations and I can't really cover all of that. Here's the most important part when we talk about an articulated ladder, and that is following the manufacturer's guidance. You need to have the owner's manual for this ladder. They're designed to do certain things. They're not designed to do other things. And the manufacturer is going to tell you how you can use that and what you can't do. So always follows those manufacturer recommendations on that. Along with that, I just wanted to throw this one in here because occasionally I'll see some places using an extension ladder or a straight ladder as a scaffold. Trying to have a place that they can move laterally along a wall while they're painting or doing something like that. That's inappropriate. So when I have something like this is specifically designed for it, and it is a scaffold plank. It's not a ladder. And so follow the manufacturer's recommendations on this as well. All right, I gotta keep going here. Mobile ladder stands. So this, I call these parts picker ladders. Most of the places I've used these have been in warehouse operations where you roll this around, has wheels, 4 wheels. I roll it to the edge of a rack storage or shelves. And as I step on that first step, it releases the ladder, so it lowers down. You can see on here there are some feet to the sides of where those wheels are. And when you step down, those feet will contact the ground, not the wheels. And so it can't roll out from under you. But the essential part of that is inspecting that ladder every time before you use it, because those feet can wear out as you're moving those around. They get damaged, and so you want to repair those or replace those rubber feet as necessary to keep you safe in using that. All right, here's that platform ladder that I talked about. I really like this one. I bought this actually exact ladder for a remodel project that I had. I needed a ladder for a lot of jobs for multiple years that I've been doing this project, and I've really enjoyed this ladder because not only am I never tempted to go onto those top 2 steps because it's a platform, I can also, when I'm on that platform, turn my body, which I can't really do on a regular A-frame ladder, and I can reach things that I wouldn't be able to reach otherwise. I highly recommend this. You can buy whatever brand that you want, but I've been really happy with that from a safety standpoint and from being able to do the job. So take away the temptation for people to do things unsafely when it comes to ladders, and give them one of these platform ladders. Okay. So first steps in ladder safety, pre-use inspection is essential. Just like PPE or whatever it is that we're using, I want to inspect it before I use it. What am I looking for? Well, I'm looking at the feet of a ladder to make sure that I've got a good surface on there, that it's how it's supposed to be, so it will have good grip and it's not going to slide out from under me. I'm going to look at all of the ladder for damage, if it's crushed or if it's split. If somebody has painted a ladder, I shouldn't use it. We should never paint a ladder, because that means I can't inspect it well to see if there's damage. So always ensure that we have adequate inspection of your ladder. Don't ever use ladder in a strong wind. Whatever I'm resting that ladder against, if it's an extension ladder or a straight ladder, it needs to be flat and firm. If I'm using a step ladder, that floor underneath it needs to be level and solid. Okay. And don't ever put a ladder in front of a door unless it is controlled. Now, there are times when I have an exit sign that's above a doorway, and I have to replace the exit sign or replace a light bulb in it. Well, I can do those types of tasks, but I've got to control the door. I need to lock that door if I'm the only one that has a key to it, or if not, I need to have somebody posted on the other side of the door to prevent people from opening the door and knocking me off the ladder. All right. Always when I use a ladder, always when I access upper heights, I need to look for electricity. Look up and live when it comes to electricity. So if there are power lines around, we need to maintain at minimum a 10-foot distance from any sources of electrical power. That'll keep us safe. Don't ever use metal ladders, aluminum, other ladders when there's any chance that electricity is in the area. But on the same token, don't trust that your fiberglass ladder will protect you if you do happen to come in contact with electricity. There are things, your ladder can be dirty. They are not certified unless they're certified for that type of work. Okay. We'll include a ladder inspection checklist in your in the email that when I send out that the webinar recording is on the YouTube channel. So I'll send this out to everybody that signed up for the webinar today. Don't ever, like I said, don't ever paint a ladder. Don't put stickers on it, with the exception of one really small sticker that says the last time that this ladder was inspected. That ladder inspection would be good for periodic inspection, but every time you're going to use that ladder, we're going to do a pre-use inspection. Okay. All right. So ladder maintenance and storage. Ladders can do a lot of damage because they're big and tall, and if they tip over, they can hurt people, they can damage property. So as we store these things, I like to have a ladder stored vertically, so it doesn't take up the whole shop, and it's out of the way. But you need to have a rack or some chains around that ladder to keep it from tipping over. So plan that ahead, a place for everything and everything in its place. There should be a spot for those ladders, and it should not allow them to tip over. Okay. Keep your ladder stored in a dry, clean area, out of direct sunlight. Now, I realize that some of you out there have ladders on a headache rack on your truck, and they're going to have more damage from sunlight. They're going to be dirty more often. You're going to have to do more work on those ladders to keep those clean. and the lifespan of that ladder is probably going to be less than one that's used only inside. So keep that in mind. Do your inspections. If it's damaged beyond repair, cut that ladder in half and throw it away. Get it out of there. Unfortunately, we've seen accidents happen where somebody pulled a ladder out of a dumpster. The ladder was intended to be thrown away, and somebody looked in the dumpster and said, "Hey, somebody's throwing away a perfectly good ladder." And then an injury results from using that unsafe ladder. So if it's beyond use, take the Sawzall and cut that thing in half and throw it in the dumpster and get it out of there. And then ladder handling. Ladders are big, awkward things. They're difficult to handle. And so how do I go about doing that? Well, know your limits. Know what you're able to do. Now, some ladders, if you get a 20-foot A-frame ladder, they are super difficult to move around. That's going to be a team task to move that type of a ladder. Some of these large extension ladders will be a team lift to get the ladder up into place. So know what your limits are. And if I'm looking at some of those, especially those larger ladders, team lifts are really important, because I'm here to tell you, they can get out of control really easily. Ouch. All right. I just wanted to hit these fixed ladders. I talked about that, and because there was a relatively recent OSHA change back in 2018, I want to make sure everybody knew about that. Above 20 feet, there's always been an OSHA requirement that you have a safety cage on that ladder, and that's to help arrest a fall, give you a chance to live. They don't work that well. They work, but they don't absolutely prevent you from falling. So in 2018, well, before that, it became active in 2018. OSHA said you have to install a fall protection, or have to have fall protection on a ladder greater than 24 feet in height. And that fall protection would either be a personal fall arrest system, meaning a full body harness and a double leg lanyard, or a ladder safety system. And this would be the preferred way to go. You put on a harness, has a front D ring on it, and let me go to here. This is a ladder safety system. There's a cable that's installed, a rigid cable or a pulled taut along that length of the ladder, and you hook in this system that has a cam on it. And so if I fall, it grabs a hold of that cable and it stops me from falling to my death. Are you still going to get hurt? Yeah, you're probably going to break your nose on these things, but you're not going to fall and die. That's what a ladder safety system is. They're really handy, particularly in some of these long ladders, challenging things. If you're climbing a utility antenna, ski lift tower, et cetera, these ladder safety systems can really be lifesavers. And just on that OSHA requirement, in 2018, OSHA said, if we install new ladders, we can't put safety cages on those in repairs or installs. So if I'm working on a ladder or I'm building a new building, we don't put cages in, we put the ladder safety system in at the time of installation. Okay. All right. Just about got her done. Oh.
You all right? Yeah. You ready to fall down there?
Hey, I'm good. Fortunately, it looked like he was okay with that. Unfortunately, a lot of people are not. So just want to summarize here. Always use the right ladder for the job. Select the right ladder. If you don't have the right ladder, don't do it. Get the proper tools. And if I got to bring a contractor in or bring in a boom lift, that's what we're going to do. Inspect the ladder before you use it every time. Make sure the environment's good. So I've got a good stable base that's not slippery. Make sure that the feet on that ladder are in good condition. Stay inside the rails. Keep that belt buckle in the middle. And remember, injuries from ladders are preventable. If we'll do these things that we talked about today and keep our mind open, think, we can prevent this type of accident. All right, Mike, any questions that we have or comments?
No, Chaz had a comment earlier about the little giant ladder style, wondering what you thought about that, but you covered that. So
yeah, it's, you know, a good Utah company that my only beef with that type of a ladder is it's puts more complexity into using the ladder, and that's my word of caution to you about using the manufacturer's recommendations on that. You've really got to be trained up. An A-frame ladder, a step ladder, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? As long as I'm not tipping it up against the wall to use it, it's a fairly self-explanatory thing. Whereas those articulating ladders take a little bit more thinking. And I will just say on that, there are some cheap imposters, and I'm not plugging for Little Giant, even though they're a good Utah company. You can buy a really cheap imposter ladder like that I've seen a number of those that are not safe. They don't have good latches on those, and they can collapse on you. I don't have it in this. I have a video that I've used in another ladder safety training that I've done, where they were selling one of these ladders on QVC, and this guy gets up on it and he's like, "Oh, this is really safe." And he goes to walk across. He had it kind of a bridge-like thing, and the ladder descends a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't have it locked. It's okay now." And he goes a little bit further, and he falls down right on his face. And anyway, just like everything, you get what you pay for. Buy good equipment when it comes to ladders and safety equipment, and keep yourself safe. Anything else, Mike? I told Mike, I said,
Nope.
spoiler, it ain't going to be as short as the first one, because I had a few other items. So apologize, I went a little long today, folks. I hope it was worth spending the extra time there. Was there another one, Mike?
Nope.
Okay, folks, thanks so much for all you do. Please go out and have a safe day.